keep having, over the past couple of days, a bunch of the neighbors swinging by asking me how I do the mulch thing and how I've gotten this, who I'm working with. Here, if you're in Florida, you've probably seen it before, is called pink muley grass. This stuff grows around like crazy. Got mulch? Welcome back to Molnar's Garden. I didn't have any intention on making a video today. As you can see, I've got quite a bit of mulch to work through, but I keep having, over the past couple of days, a bunch of the neighbors swinging by asking me how I do the mulch thing and how I've gotten this, who I'm working with. I'm getting so many questions. I'm just gonna put out a video for this to help all of you back at home understand exactly what I've been doing over the last 18 months to get to this point. Obviously, whenever you're doing organic gardening, mulch is gonna be one of the main things that you wanna do to help control all of your weeds, feed the plants, everything like that, build that soil. And so getting this to this level with all these wood chips is actually just like brown gold when you're talking about the garden. I mean, this stuff is just gonna really help out those plants. Now, how you get it is a big struggle, and it is definitely something that you wanna get on right away. I immediately jumped on the phone when we got this house down in Florida. I got calling into the tree service companies and nobody picked up, nobody answered. It's taken me 18 months to get to this point, getting this type of mulch. Clearly it's quite a bit, and that's why I'm out here working today, trying to get it out of the front so it doesn't look so nasty for all the neighbors. But apparently it doesn't look that nasty to all of them. They just want to know how I got it. So I'm going to share it with all of you. Now, this, like I said, took me a long time to get to this point, and it just didn't work out with making phone calls to the tree service companies. They weren't answering, like I said. And so it's taken me a long time improvising and adapting and overcoming, like I say we do on this channel all the time, to get to the point that we're at today. Now, some of the ways that I've been able to try and adapt and improvise is working with some of the neighbors, taking things like their leaves as they're dropping off every winter and they're raking out their yard. I run over with my wheelbarrow and I bring all those leaves, instead of them going to the dump and in trash cans for the neighbors, I bring them over here to run through with all of these lovely animals over here. They go ahead, they break it up, they poop in it, I will take it out. After a while, I let it break down for a couple weeks, and then I put it on the plants. That adds a good layer of mulch for all of these plants, and that's what we were doing back here until we got wood chips. The other thing I was doing in the meantime until we got wood chips is all of this grass right here. Now, while we're working on ripping out the grass, because it's really not that beneficial for all the wildlife, the one benefit it does have is if I cut the grass, I keep it. And I, again, break it down, maybe run it through the chickens, or sometimes I just apply it directly to the plants, depending on what they are. And everything ends up being grass-fed at that point. You let it cook off for about a week or two. Down here in Florida in the summertime, it's hot, it's humid. This stuff breaks down pretty quick and cooks off. And so it doesn't take long to be able to move that into another location. And as you can see, we have an abundance of grass to work with. So speaking of grass, you're gonna have to forgive how dirty the garage is, but while we're dealing with all these piles of nastiness that I need to clean up, like I said, I'm busy today trying to get the place back in order. This is that other type of grass that I've recently been picking up to try and help with all the mulch. This here, if you're in Florida, you've probably seen it before, is called pink muley grass. This stuff grows around like crazy around town and everything, and so that's what this is. I've just been running around town to parks and roads where this stuff is planted and grabbing the seeds off of this. I'm letting them dry out for a little bit. I'm gonna take those and go ahead, plant them out, germinate the seeds, get them into pots to go through that germination process, and then I'll bring them out to the yard and place them in areas like my driveway bed. We're gonna have a double edge just edging going around both sides, on both sides of the driveway with that pink muley grass. It'll grow up to about 3 to 4 feet tall, and then it'll stop. In the fall time, it's going to flower, and that's gonna turn it into a nice shade of pink that's gonna go over this area and just look fantastic for the neighbors being in the front. But for me, what it's going to do is after it flowers, during the winter, it'll die back. In spring, I'm gonna cut that down to the ground, and that'll be my chop and drop mulch for these areas up in the front of the driveway. And then we just propagate it out and keep going from there to get it all over the property for that chop and drop mulch. Speaking of chop and drop mulch, one plant that I have mentioned on this channel before in other videos that we haven't done specifically on mulch, so since we're doing one specifically on mulch, I'm going to mention it again. Mexican sunflower. It died back from winter. It is coming back already. I didn't have to reseed it. This is just coming back on its own. It didn't die back all the way. I do have to come through and try and pick through every seeds to propagate it out here soon. But that is going to be another plant that is going to be great for your chop and drop mulch. As you can tell, I'm putting these chop and drop plants around other plants so that when I'm ready to, I can just come through, cut them down, and leave it right there. I don't have to worry about anything else and moving it. Once the plants are in, I'll be able to just go ahead, cut them back, drop them right there, and that's my mulch. I don't got to worry about it. One of the reasons I really like doing that is because getting wood chips like what I have over here has not been easy. And so I'm trying to work on making sure this property is as self-sustaining as possible. And one of the ways to do that is to grow your own mulch. Now, if you're like me and you can't wait for all the mulch to be grown out yourself and you need to get some stuff like this, there's a couple of options that you can do to speed things up along. Now, keep in mind, there's a different kind of timetable that you're going to be working with. And we'll talk about these going from the quickest ways to get these wood chips to the slowest. Now, probably the most cost-effective way to get wood chips like this is to get them from your local landfill. Me, personally, I don't recommend it. We did that when we first got the property, and the thing that I found with doing that is that I'm spending a lot of time just picking through the mulch, trying to grab out all of the garbage that gets blown into the wood chips because of it being at a landfill. So it might be an option. Check the quality of it. I don't personally recommend it. It's not a favorite of mine, but if you're in a crunch and you really need it, it's a way that you can do things. Next quickest option is to contact a local mulch company in your area. For us, we have one called Dunellen Mulch and Stone that we order from occasionally, and they'll come and deliver it to our house for a fee. And when we are in a crunch and we need it, like we were with the cold front, we go ahead and do orders like that, and it's a surefire way to get it. We didn't actually have companies that we were working with dropping off mulch until very recently. And so it's great that we have this coming in now, but that's another option you can consider is you can always purchase mulch from another place. Now, and I know a lot of people like to get it from Lowe's and Home Depot. If you're gonna do that, make sure it's the all natural, even though I wouldn't recommend doing that because it's just not really cost effective. You're not getting a lot. It's a really small bag for like $3-5 and it doesn't go very far. It's a lot cheaper to just get it from somebody else, in my opinion, like Dunellen Mulch and Stone that we've ordered from and had nothing but good things to say about it. Honestly, we've gotten stone from them for our pond. We've gotten wood chips for our garden. As you can tell, we're a repeat customer. That's all I can say. The next way that you can get wood chips, and is honestly kind of a pain in the ass, is to go ahead and contact all your local tree servicing companies and see who's going to be in your area soon that maybe wants to drop off, or at least get on their list for when they are in the area so that they can drop it off with you. A lot of the time, these tree service companies, when they're having to get rid of what they are taking out, they have to take it to the dump and they have to pay a fee in order to drop what they've cut and have worked with. So instead of paying to get rid of the wood chips that they have, a lot of times they're going to want to bring it to you because that's free. They don't have to pay anything. It works out for you because you get the mulch. It's a win-win for everybody. In addition to contacting tree servicing companies, you can also use websites like getchipdrop.com, I think is it, Chip Drop. If you type in Chip Drop on Google, it'll come up. But anyways, Chip Drop is another way that we've gotten mulch, and that's actually been the most successful one for us. It's taken a long time though before anybody was able to bring us any. I didn't have much servicing in the area. It just wasn't something really going on. So that's something to keep in mind, is different areas are going to have different amounts of people actually utilizing that type of service on if you're going to get mulch or not. So you can put in with Chip Drop. You can get on the list to say, hey, I need mulch, and whenever that time frame expires for that request, you can always auto renew it to be able to have somebody just come and drop you off a bunch of mulch. That's been the most successful one. We've had another company that we work with, Mawberry, out here, that we have said we'll advertise for them. Just on our channel, make sure you bring us all the mulch you got when you're in our area, and they have brought us an absolute ton of mulch. I cannot thank them enough, so thank you, Mawberry.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate everything that you've done and bringing us all this mulch. Yeah, guys, if you need your trees cut down, contact Mawberry, because they'll bring us the mulch. You'll get your tree cut down, they'll bring us the mulch, and we'll be able to keep growing stuff here for all of you guys to see, and hopefully sometime soon be able to actually taste. Now, this last tip here is probably one of the more difficult ones to go ahead and do, but once a year here in Florida, where we're at, Duke, our electric company, comes through, and they actually have guys that come through and clear all of the trees up near the power lines, and they just recently did that. And that's been one that's added to this pile pretty significantly, because they were just doing our area. I saw the trucks pull up in front of the house. They had a wood chipper. I ran out here and told them, hey, dump it in my yard. You're right here. Don't go to the dump. Just leave it right here. And so they've dropped a couple. We're now on with them. Anytime they're in our area, we're going to go ahead and be getting wood chips from them. That's another way you can do it, is talk with your utility companies, tree servicing company, when they come by your house, if they do that type of service in your area, and just tell them, instead of going somewhere else, why don't you just leave it right here? That saves them a lot of time, and time is money, and they'll probably want to do it. So again, to recap and summarize for all of you on wanting to know how to do mulch for your property, great options are: 1, get some of the leaf drop and things like that as your neighbors are cleaning up the place. Grow out a lot of your own so that you can make sure that you have a sustainable source that's reliable for you and your property and your needs. Contact tree service companies to be able to come drop off when they're servicing in your area. You can always check with the dump, but I don't recommend it. And then chip drop is another good one. And if you really need it in a time crunch, you need it right now. You can't wait 18 months like I did to be able to get this type of stuff going for yourself. Just order from somebody like Denellen Mulch and Stone. It's that simple, you guys. And as I say simple, I'm realizing it's also been 18 months and it's been a painstaking process. It took a lot of work to get to this point. So if you're wanting some mulch, hopefully this video helps save you some time in figuring out how to get it done. Anyways, Molnar out.